You know, nothing says generous and comforting like a mega corporation related to Amazon coming down from its ivory tower to tell me that they care about my personal well-being. Because we all know companies like Amazon definitely care about our personal well-being. Okay, yeah, shocker take here. I think the recent policy change from Twitch is not only redundant, but it is stupid and dumb and just another nail in the coffin for the ability to just give an opinion on the internet. But if you pay attention to inner YouTube baseball, I think you might be familiar with these sweeping regulatory changes that 1, help no one, and 2, have nothing to do with keeping anybody's mental health sane. Literally, entire careers have been started and ended over the policy change discussions, and it's blown my mind that Twitch has bungled it so hard in the year 2020. But for posterity's sake, for the people that don't know, allow me to go over what exactly is happening here. Anyway, the CEO of Twitch, Sarah Clemens, said the following, using terms like simp, incel, or virgin as an insult to negatively refer to another person's sexual activity is not allowed under this new policy. So basically, Twitch is taking the stance to protect a person's sexual status in society by blocking words and keeping out these words from the conversation. By that I mean, they are protecting people who for some reason care about their sexual status in relation to random strangers they know online. Ironically, it's been a while since I've cared about my sexual status in relation to society because it's not really any of society's business. Let's see, the last time I cared, I was like 16. Now, on a surface level, when you just think about this, anybody who's really offended over a stranger on the internet, calling them a simp or a virgin or an incel is kind of ridiculous. And if you care, I mean, not only might you be one of those things, but you also really need to get your priorities straight, because in reality, normal adults do not care about your sexual status. And that if you know somebody in real life who cares or makes it a big deal about that, I mean, honestly, you don't need that person in your life, in my opinion. And if you have a partner who really cares that you're a virgin or not, then like, maybe they're not the one for you. I don't know. I don't really see a reason to surround yourself with people who mock you over things that are absolutely ridiculous and stupid. And I think this is pretty high up there on the list of stupid things. Listen, don't get me wrong. My college friends and I would mock each other on our lack of sexual expertise, or the opposite of, all the time, you know, and we would make fun of each other just because that's what you do, right? That's what you do with your bros. And Twitch has said that, you know, friendly banter's okay, but you know what? I don't really trust a company as far as I can throw them, and believe it or not, I can't throw a company. But the point is, we would mock each other on these things, and it wouldn't really hurt us because we didn't tie our self-worth to our sexual status. Something incels do all the time is tie those two things together and then have a chip on their shoulder to society, when in reality, it's just that society doesn't care, period. Now, I'm gonna go on a bit of an opinion limb here and say that when we're talking about simps, incels, and virgins, we're talking about a specific male demographic that exists online and in real life. For some reason, I can't really use the word incel to describe a woman, nor would I say a simp. I don't think of a lady when I close my eyes and say the word simp. You know what I mean? Really, when I think of insults that are thrown around at women, and if I were to throw around those rude insults to anybody, I would probably say that women have insults that are thrown at them related to their sexual exploits, while men have insults about their lack of sexual exploits thrown at them. I can't speak. Anyway, point of the matter here is that we all know how to be equally awful to one another, which really just shows how we all will never get along. 2020 has proved so much nihilism in me. I will say, though, that I have seen equivalents to the female simp and incel. They exist out there. They're on the internet. And boy, is it just as equally sad. But as the policy is noted by the COO, I think we could go out on a limb and just say this is about dudes, right? This is about the dudes who spend literally their life savings for a morsel of attention from a streamer like Pokimane, who would never go out with them anyway because, I mean, well, they look how they do, you know what I mean? And also, you know, you're just a random viewer in a sea of 1,000 other simps. Not only would I say simp is an accurate descriptor for these dudes, I'd also say it's a bit of a wake-up call, because I genuinely believe that a lot of these simps, the term simp is really just endemic to the whole stan culture thing that I rattle on about all the time. But some of these dudes need therapy. Sometimes they need a wake-up call. And you know what? I'd answer that call with the word simp. Because, I mean, that's what the word was meant to describe and do. It's not about the dudes who are just nice to women friends, okay? That's not what it is. And then part of what makes this even better is that the female streamers, and hell, even male streamers, because, you know, everybody simps, TM. Point is, streamers and creators and celebrities and pretty much anybody who has money to gain in this situation won't say anything or stop anybody because, well, you're making fat stacks hand over fist. If somebody goes homeless, it's not you going homeless, and you have no idea who this person is anyway, so you could probably sleep soundly at night, even though they are now homeless or some other, you know, crazy thing. What I love about this, though, is that this policy change has triggered the Streisand effect in full force, and where before I'd say the term simp was kind of falling out of fashion as people overuse things on the internet, Twitch has bolstered its usage, and it's everybody's saying simp again. Just look up Twitch simp everywhere. In fact, while you're at it, leave the word simp down in the comments below. You know, make it fun. Just say the word simp. You know, and while you're down there, you can also subscribe because, you know, it's like trying to stop at a rest stop on the highway. Like you take a pee, get a snack. So, you know, you hit the subscribe button, you hit the bell, and then you write the word simp down there. But on to what this policy is really about, because it's not about the words. It's not about simp, incel, or virgin. It has very little to do with that, and has much more to do with business. But first, allow me to state my piece. And I've stated this previously in videos before, and I've seen it's literally the same three arguments all the time for this, but I've made a whole video about it. I've talked about it, and I'll say it again, right? I believe that all online spaces should respect a person's right to free speech. But for a short breakdown on this opinion, right? If we live on an internet with no alternative sites, and we all congregate on 5 or 6 sites, and each of those sites talk to each other, so a policy violation on one could affect our ability to contact or work on any other site, then really we should all have the right to be able to say what we want. I believe it is a human right to be included in public discourse, that the powers that free society gives to us are taken away from us when corporations, governments, religion, anybody in power, any powerful person takes that away for the betterment of the group, or the ability to talk to others, or to make conversation more friendly. If any of these powers that be remove you for conversation, not only do you not live in a free society, you should be arguing for a free society. Regardless of how dumb the policy is or how unimportant it seems, I think policies like these are small stepping stones to devaluing the individual and keeping them from having their voices heard when there's huge mega corporations that have absolute control of our ability to speak freely. You can't go in your town square and be able to be heard anymore. I mean, literally, you can't go outside anymore. Twitter is the new town square. I think free speech is a human right. I think most people would agree with me on that too. I find it very funny when people disagree that these are private businesses. You could just go find an alternative. Or these are private businesses, you aren't entitled to be on here. That's insane. I can't, I'm libertarian as hell. I can't agree with that opinion. Look, anyway, feel free to disagree with this in the comments. I don't really care. I'm not gonna remove your dissenting comments, but just know that somebody else who says they have it in their best interest for you might not actually have it in your best interest. I don't trust Twitch, I don't trust Facebook, I don't trust Google, I don't trust YouTube, I don't trust anybody. The road to hell was paved with good intentions, right? Now, do I think this policy change is to, like, enslave the masses? No. You know, when it comes to business, it's really about that. Business. Recently, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of female streamers have gotten in trouble for abhorrent behavior on the platform. I mean, take your pick. I've covered some in the past. There's plenty of examples of stuff like this happening. Pokimane has been at the center of a lot of drama in the last couple of weeks. Ironically, because of this behavior and the lack of enforcement on these female streamers, I think one of the largest communities of people that have been called a simp have actually been Twitch staff, who do, and as we've seen from a lot of inside Twitch discussion and people talking about it online, that Twitch staff give preferential treatment to streamers they fancy, and Twitch mods being men, or those that are men, tend to give preferential treatment to female streamers. And really, they're doing this for the same exact reason that whales donate a lot of money to these streamers, because they think they can get something out of it. Now, fellas, I don't know why this is a thing that keeps happening, but allow me to just spell it out for you. You can't just put coins into a woman and expect to see like you're not going to get vaginal reparations for giving a lot of money to somebody, okay? They're not going to look at you like a person to begin with. And you're an insane person if you think you're entitled to be responded to. And really, this just goes for all people online. You don't need to sit there and just defend and white knight some creator who really didn't need the help anyway. Why are you going to subject yourself to that? Why would you do that? Like, completely outside of this situation. But you know what? Stan culture, yada yada yada. Diesel is big brain. Really, what makes this hilarious is that while Twitch turns a blind eye to abhorrent behavior, policy violation, hell, they've even turned a blind eye to things like animal abuse. It gets a little hilarious that they're going to enforce the lack of usage on these words while all this is going on, and they're doing nothing about it because they give preferential treatment to people they like. Meanwhile, other female streamers or male streamers who don't fit the taste of Twitch mods end up not receiving equal treatment compared to their in vogue peers, and as a result, there is unfair enforcement, or those that do not play by Twitch's rules of backdoor politicking with Twitch staff, leads to a lot of people receiving unwanted or just a ridiculous amount of, over moderating. I mean, all this has shown that policy enforcement is happening on an unequal level, and that if you're not a certain type of person, you're not going to receive the kind of treatment that the policy says you're entitled to. Needless to say, I don't like it when any creators hold a obscene amount of sway over a platform or are able to deplatform someone because they don't like them, or they don't think they're entitled to have their platform to begin with, or any other crazy things. The thing is, when you get in bed with mods, metaphorically, not literally, but when you do, you can hold more sway over what happens on the platform. Okay, this is great and all, but I don't think this is the big reason. The big reason is definitely about money. Someone being alienated away from not spending their life savings on Twitch isn't being a user of Twitch, and also isn't spending money on Twitch. Things Twitch would much rather prefer. These whales cover the cost of people who use ad blocker and do a number of other things, such as not pay for anything. So losing these people would be a huge issue because they spend like 8 hours on the platform a day just consuming content. Those are eyeballs you can advertise to. Those are eyeballs that spend money on your streamers. And if your streamers aren't receiving money, why would they stay on the platform? And if your big streamers aren't on the platform, then you can't advertise into those eyeballs. Business-wise, it makes sense to protect your interest, and so you would want to keep them from being alienated so they continue to be avid users of the site, so you can advertise to them and they donate to the streamers. Advertisers want to see that there are big streamers on a platform, so they know that it's worth it to spend this money to advertise on it. So it makes sense to keep these whales protected. Now, I think some of this does lie on the streamer's part, right, as well as pretty much any content creator. But, this is really the problems with establishing a parasocial relationship, as I've talked about before. And I keep saying I'm going to do a huge video on stan culture. I have it written, I just haven't done it. But, let's use Dream as an example, because he was recently under fire for that ridiculous video he made, or voice message he made to his audience. Super cringy, by the way. But, if you build an audience to worship you and build this parasocial relationship, they have a false identity of what's exactly going on. This is an unhealthy social connection, as I've said previously in other videos. So really, I think it's in the creator's best interest, just personally, but also in the creator's best interest mentally for themselves and the audience's longevity, is to minimize the risk of parasocial relationships forming. So I say that you can do this by creating barriers, setting rules, and creating separation. Those 3 things can help minimize those things from happening in the future. Creating barriers such as, this is content I put out, not who I am. Creating rules such as you can't say this or that or talk to me a certain way kind of deal. Or just doing it in a way that'll keep those bonds from occurring. I think one of the fastest ways for a stan culture to form around a person is a Discord group, which is exactly why I don't have one. Really, it's in everybody's best interest if everybody develops healthy social connections And you're not going to do that if that person is sitting on Twitch for 8 hours a day. I'm not saying they can't not watch Twitch, but there's a healthy amount of watching something and there's an unhealthy amount of watching something. Okay? Anyway, this is all food for thought. I don't think my opinion is like set in stone for anything. So tell me what you think of Twitch's new policy. Tell me what you think of my ideas for, how to minimize the effects of things like whales or stan culture, or if you have opinions on things that you think would be more concrete for me to say for something like that when I do my stan video, please tell me your feelings on that. And also, lastly, tell me what you think about the idea of universal free speech on the internet. That's really what my opinion is. I think we can boil it down to that if we want to just keep it really simple. Those are all those things that I'd like to hear. And also, I guess if you want to say simp, go right ahead.